questions 1 to 5. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning. Thank you for calling Universal Insurance. This is Sandra. How may I assist you?
Hello. I recently shipped my belongings from Spain to my home back here in the U.S. I took out an insurance policy with your company, and some of my items were damaged while in transit, and I want to file a claim.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about this. I'll certainly be happy to assist you. Can I have your name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Neil Jones, and my address is 5542 Fifth Avenue, San Jose, California.
Now, that was 5543 Fifth Avenue or 5542, Mr. Jones?
5542, ma'am.
Got it. Thank you. Now, who was the shipping agent?
Do you mean which company I used for shipping my belongings?
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Jones.
Okay, that was Pan Express Shipping Worldwide.
Pan Express. Now, do you have the order number available?
One moment. Yes, here it is. It is PES 973-199-9661.
Let me repeat this back so I get it correctly, Mr. Jones. It was PES 973-199-9661?
Yes, that's correct.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 6 to 10.
Okay, now I need to note down the details of the actual damage, Mr. Jones. Can you tell me how many items were damaged and to what extent?
Yes, the first thing was my microwave.
Just so you know, Mr. Jones, the insurance does not cover electrical problems.
Oh, it's not an electrical problem. The glass door has been shattered, and this needs to be replaced.
Have you had it looked at and gotten an estimate for repair?
No, I'm afraid I haven't. My second item is my antique rocking chair.
Have you gotten an estimate on the damage and cost of repair?
Unfortunately not. The chair is in such a bad state. The chair is wooden, and except for the seat, all the other wooden parts are broken or cracked beyond all repair. I honestly do not think it could be repaired or restored, particularly since it is an antique.
Do you have an idea of the worth of the chair?
Yes. I've actually had it appraised by an antique dealer, and I do have a written appraisal for it. Anyways, it's been appraised for $500.
Okay, we'll need a copy of that appraisal. Was there anything else which got damaged?
Yes, there was my mattress. All the springs seem to be broken, and the mattress is out of shape. I don't think I can sleep on it now.
Sounds like it can't be repaired.
No, I don't think so. I think it will need to be replaced.
Right. Any idea what the cost to replace this would be?
Well, I paid $400 for it a year ago. I've checked on prices for the same mattress, and they are now $450.
Okay, we can certainly take care of that. Was there anything else?
Yes, and this one is a bit difficult to bear as it's my favorite item. It's a leaded crystal mantel showpiece and combination clock. This is completely broken and is now in shards.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It sounds like it was very beautiful. Do you have any idea what the cost to replace this is?
I'm sorry, but I don't, as it was gifted to me.
That's okay. We'll figure that out as well as the cost for the other items. And for that microwave, we'll see about repairing it.
Oh, thank you. What is the next step? What do I do next?
This is what I'm going to do, and that is to forward your claim to the claims department. They'll contact you within 2 business days. From there, someone will arrange to meet with you and inspect the items and then make recommendations. We will pay for replacement, repair, or cut you a check for the damages.
Oh, thank you so much. I do appreciate all your help.
You are most welcome, Mr. Jones.
That is the end of part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to part 2. Part 2.
Listen to a correspondent giving information about a tea-making process. While listening, complete the information below. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen to the first part of the talk and answer questions 11 to 15.
Hello friends, today we have a talk with our correspondent Julia, who finds herself among the tea farms of Assam. Today she'll be talking about the process of making tea, as well as the various types of tea we can find. Go ahead, Julia.
Oh, well, thanks, Irene. Right, I'm here amid the lush tea farms, and I've learned a great deal about almost everyone's favorite drink, and that's tea. Much of the tea we drink comes from these farms in the lush hills of Assam, here in India. It's a beautiful land, and the endless rows of tea are quite a sight to behold. During my stay here, I met up with growers who gave me an in-depth education on tea. Tea, as we all know, comes in many varieties, each with its own unique flavor, aroma, and appearance. The method for preparing tea is pretty much the same for all teas, with slight variations. The preparation begins literally on the plant. Tea leaves are plucked twice a year in spring and early summer, and this is usually done by hand. Machines could be used, but machines affect the quality of the tea. It seems the leaves love the human touch. After the leaves are picked, they begin to wilt, and this starts the next step in the process, and that is withering. Withering is done to remove excess water from the leaves. This can be done by putting the leaves out under the sun or leaving them in a cool and breezy room. After withering, the leaves are macerated or bruised in order to quicken oxidation. Maceration is typically done by kneading, rolling, tearing, and crushing the leaves. This part can be done by machines, but again, this affects the quality. After the oxidation process, the next step is to dampen the leaves and then roll them out to form wrinkled strips. This is again done by hand. By doing this, sap, essential oils, and juices inside the leaves ooze out, and this is what is responsible for enhancing the flavor of the tea. Next comes the step of drying. This can be done in any number of ways, and these include panning, sunning, air drying, or baking. Great care is taken not to overcook the leaves, otherwise the leaves will not be fit for market.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
The final process is grading and sorting. Once the teas have been graded and sorted, they are weighed and packed into plywood chests, multi-walled bags, or corrugated cardboard cartons. All of these containers have an inner lining of aluminum foil. As you know, tea comes in many varieties, but I will guide you through the three main types, which are green, oolong, and black. Green tea is a form of non-fermented tea, which includes white and yellow tea under its category. Next are the semi-fermented teas, and the most common of these is oolong tea, which is very popular in China. White and yellow teas can also be semi-fermented. These teas are steamed during the fermentation process. Finally, the fully fermented tea is typically black, and that is the most common of teas. All compressed tea is highly fermented.
That is the end of part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to part 3. Part 3.
In a moment, you will hear a conversation between two students who are planning a performance for their college project. Before you begin, you may review questions 21 to 23. Now listen to the first part of the conversation and answer questions 21 to 23.
Danny, we need to get on with planning our performance.
Okay, Lily. Are you happy with the pieces of music that we chose?
Yes, they're perfect.
Right. So we need to choose what should be happening during each piece. We'll be performing in the college theater, so there will be a good sound system for the recordings. Plus, we'll have the stage for the live performance. There will also be a giant screen at the back of the stage. The film and slides can be projected onto.
Excellent.
Have you got the running order of the music we agreed on?
Yes, here it is. The first piece is that exciting section from Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture. What do you think would go well with it?
How about one of us reading a really dramatic speech?
But the music is going to be very loud. It'd be impossible to hear any kind of speech. I think projecting a film of a fireworks display onto the screen would be better.
Well, it would certainly get everyone's attention. Okay, we'll do that.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 24 to 30. Now listen to the second part of the discussion and answer questions 24 to 30.
So, what's next?
The bumptious orchestra. It has a very delicate sound, as though the instruments are some distance away, and that sound is being carried by the wind.
How about if we stand on opposite sides of the stage and say sentences that aren't connected, as though the audience is hearing snatches of different conversations blown by the wind?
Nice. Then the mood changes with a Jamaican steel drum band. That's very upbeat and exhilarating. I'd like us to do some tap dancing in a factory surrounded by steel drums.
In a factory? Film us there, you mean? Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll find out about possible locations.
Next, it's Indian sitar music.
I think we should have someone on stage doing traditional Indian dance. In fact, I know the best person for it, Rakesh Kumar. I'm sure he'd agree to do it.
Bravo! Then the next piece of music would be South American panpipes. Any ideas?
Well, I can recite a poem from South America.
Or maybe we could have some pipes and mime playing them ourselves.
Isn't that too literal? I'd like to be a bit more imaginative.
Maybe you're right. Okay, we'll have the poem. You'll be in the spotlight, and the rest of the stage will be dark.
Right. It's all beginning to take shape, isn't it?
Yeah. Now the next piece is the slow pace of Mahler's Fifth Symphony. I imagine this starting with the stage in complete darkness. Then the lights come up very slowly so that the audience gradually realizes there are people standing there absolutely motionless.
How about being lit from behind so that we're in silhouette?
Lovely, and then we start swaying. At one point, we begin doing very stylized and formal gestures with our arms.
Oh, that does sound great. Right. Now what's next?
The African band. You know the one from Mali?
Yes, that'll be a complete contrast. Really lively. It'll make people want to leap from their seats and start dancing. How about getting the audience to dance?
What? Suddenly shout out, "Everyone dance"? I don't think so. I'd rather we created a sense of place and endless time with slides of Mali showing the Sahara Desert, Timbuktu, and some of its ruins, each one dissolving into the next. It'd be a striking contrast with the music.
Well, I still like the idea of audience participation.
But it would be awfully embarrassing if we asked them to dance, and they didn't.
Yeah, I suppose so. Okay, we'll go with your idea.
Right.
And the next section?
That's the didgeridoo. As it's an Australian Aboriginal instrument, and so unusual, maybe we should show a film clip of it being played.
Or we could learn some traditional Aboriginal dancing.
No time. I know. How about a complete contrast to make people sit up and think? We could do a comedy sketch, standing quite still on opposite sides of the stage. If we get the timing right, we could fit the sound of the didgeridoo to the words.
Lily, that's an absolutely crazy idea. I love it.
Thank you. Well, the last piece is the electronic music by the German group Kraftwerk. That'll really lend itself to a way-out gymnastics display.
Maybe some film footage of the Olympic Games from years ago.
Or we could ask the college gym team to perform on stage.
Yes, let's do that. After all, we want to involve a lot of people in this.
Okay, well, there's plenty for us to do, isn't there? So...
That is the end of part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to part 4. Part 4.
Now, listen to a professor giving a lecture on the Indus Valley Civilization. Before the lecture begins, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. listen to the lecture and answer questions 31 to 40.
The places along or close to the Indus River are the treasure trove of the remnants of the earliest civilization in the Indian subcontinent. The ancient cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, where the first excavations were conducted in 1921 and 22, are now in Pakistan. These excavations indicated a highly convoluted civilization that first advanced some 4,500 years ago. Successive archaeological and historical studies have now yielded us with more comprehensive picture of the Indus Valley civilization and its populace. These studies have shown us that the Indus Valley people were most likely Dravidians, who may have descended down to South India when the Aryans, with their more developed military technology, initiated their migrations to India around 2000 BCE. Though the Indus Valley script remains unexplored till the present day, many remnants discovered during the excavations, like the numerous seals, statues, and pottery items, have been very helpful to scholars to build up a rationally feasible explanation of the Indus Valley civilization. The layout of the great cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro gives an idea of some kind of widespread town planning. The burnt bricks that seem to have been used in the construction of buildings and cities were very much identical to those that were used several hundred miles apart. The weights and measures indicate a very reasonable uniformity. The Indus Valley people raised animals and grew various crops, such as sesame, peas, barley, and cotton. They may also have been the people working on traveling regularly on the sea, and it is rather interesting that Indus Valley seals have been dug up in such places as Sumer. In most aspects, the Indus Valley civilization turns out to have been urban, defying both the predominating idea of India as a perpetually and basically agricultural civilization, as well as the idea that the change from rural to urban is a representation of something of a logical advancement. The evidence indicates that the Indus Valley people had a merchant class that engaged in widespread trading. There was no such evidence found in the excavation of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro that gives us a notion that there existed 5 altars around or in which several rituals, which are critical in Hinduism, were performed. Hence, we can easily conjecture that these rituals were later introduced by Aryans. The Indus Valley people did not possess any horses. No ontological evidence of horse remains have been found in the Indian subcontinent before 2000 BCE, when the Aryans first arrived in India, and there is no appearance of horses on Harappian seals and terracotta figures. Other than the archaeological ruins of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, these seals equip us with the information about the most detailed signs about the characteristics of the Indus Valley people. Appearance of bulls and elephants has certainly been found on these seals, but most scholars are agreed to the fact that those horned bulls should not be considered similar to Lord Shiva's Nandi, i.e. Lord Shiva's bull. The horned bull appearances have been found in numerous Central Asian figures as well. It is also important to note that Shiva is not one of the gods mentioned in the Rig Veda. The venerated cow of the Hindus also does not appear on the seals. The women depicted on the seals are shown with elaborate coiffures, sporting heavy jewelry, suggesting that the Indus Valley people were an urbane people with polished tastes and a refined artistic responsiveness. A few thousand seals have been discovered in Indus Valley cities, showing some 400 pictographs. The Indus Valley civilization creates many unsolved questions. We really do not know why this civilization could not spread beyond the Indus Valley. In general, the area where the Indus Valley cities developed is barren, and it can be surmised that urban development took place along a river that crossed through a virtual desert. The Indus Valley people did not develop agriculture on any large scale, and hence they did not have to clear away a growing forest, as they did not have the technology and were confined to a limited use of bronze or stone tools. They did not practice canal irrigation, nor did they have the heavy plow. It is still a mystery what circumstances caused the Indus Valley cities to undergo a decline. It is believed that the Aryans attacked the outlying villages near the Indus Valley around 2000 BCE, near Baluchistan, and that major cities such as Harappa were overrun by the Aryans.
That is the end of part 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.